Hello everybody, we're getting ready to do 7.3 part 1 of Pre-Algebra Math classwork lesson today. And for today's lesson, percents and decimals, you got 16 points to go on your notebook sheet, and then 42 points for your classwork guide. Name, date, period here, students, due date for onliners, homeschoolers, and then we go right into our bell work, teachers and students. Use a percent bar model to find a percent of this number. So use a bar model. Do the same thing down here. Teachers, give your students about 5 minutes to do this. See you in 5 minutes. Okay, welcome back. Here's your bar model here. So 65% of 140, we're going to start with 0% down here, and we head down here to 65% of 140, and then we set up the proportion here. X over 140 equals 65 over 100, and then we just, what we do here is 140, we're going to get rid of our fraction here. 140 times x over 140 equals 140 times 65 over 100, so x would equal 91. So 65% of 140 would be 91. And then down here, 36% of 225. Here's our bar model here. Remember, you should have done this in 6th grade, actually. So again, we set up our proportion here. X over 225 will equal 36 over 100. We multiply through by 225, and we end up with x equals 81, which is 36% of 225. Into lesson for the day. Classwork here. You use fractions to solve percent problems. You'll use decimals to solve percent problems. So you can find the wind speed in a tornado. So you get to do that in your homework. Because 0.25 equals 25 over 100 and 25 over 100 equals 25%, you can say that 0.25 equals 25%. And then percents and decimals. To write a decimal as a percent, move the decimal point 2 places to the right, and then write a percent sign. So that's what we did over here. We moved it 2 places to the right, and then use a percent sign there to designate that movement of your decimal. To write a percent as a decimal, move the decimal point 2 places to the left, and then remove the percent sign. So when you remove the percent sign, the decimal point will go to the left. When you replace a decimal with a percent sign, you move the decimal to the right 2 places. Okay, so let's try an example here. Writing decimals as percents. So write 0.621 and 2.3 as percent. So to do that for A up here, 0.62, to write that as a percent, we're going to move our decimal point 2 places to the right, and then use a percent sign when we do that. For B here, 1, again, what we do is we move our percent sign to the right 2 places, and then use a percent sign. So it'll be 100%, 1 equals 100%. And then 2.3, again, what we're going to do is move our percent sign, or rather move our decimal to the right, 1, 2 places, and then use a percent sign. So this would be 230%. Okay, for number 1 here, guided practice, page 3, write the decimal as a percent. So we're going to write this decimal as a percent. This is yours down here, students. Write the decimal as a percent. We're going to do this one right now. So for 0.461, we're going to move our decimal place twice to the right, 1 to 46.1%, and then we'll insert a percent sign for this position to the right. So it would be 46.1% for 0.461. Okay, for our next example here, example 2, writing percents as decimals. So write 75% and then 0.4% and 168% as decimals. So how will we do that? For 75%, remember we have the percent sign, remember? So to do that, we just reverse the process. We move our decimal point to the left 2 places, take away our percent sign, and we have 0.75 for 75%. And then for 0.4%, again, we do the same thing. We move our decimal to the left 2 places. So 2 places, and we end up with 0.004 would be 0.4%. And then for 168%, again, we'll do the same thing. We'll move our decimal place 2 places here to the left. So it'd be 1.68. So we start here, we go 1, 2, we have 1.68 would equal 168%. Okay, so for our next guide practice here, write percent as a decimal. 27%, we're going to write that as decimal. This is yours down here, students. So let's write 27% as a decimal. So to do that, we're going to move our decimal place to the left twice, 1, 2. So we end up with 0.27, will be the same thing as 27%. Okay, our next example here, example 3, writing fractions as percent. So 3/8 and 5. Okay, so this one here, let's write the fraction as a percent. So here's our fraction here. Let's write that as a percent. So 5/4 as a using a decimal would be 1.25, and then we move our decimal to the right 2 places, and we come up with 125% for 5/4. Okay, let's go into another example here, example 4, finding a percent of a number. So find the weight of a pygmy hippo described on a previous page here. So find 10.5% of 5,600 is what our problem is here. What is 10.5% of 5,600? So 10.5% of 5,600 would equal 0.105. We need to move our decimal to the left 2 places, 0.105 times 5,600, right? Percent as a decimal. And then when you multiply this out, we come up with 588 pounds would be 10.5% of 5,600. So the adult pygmy hippo weighs about 588 pounds. Okay, let's try this one now. What is 0.5% of 600? And this is yours down here, student. So pay attention so you can do your independent practice. So what is 0.5% of? Okay, so finding the percent of a number, we got 0.5% of 600. The way we would find that is we move our decimal place over 2 places to the left. So we started here, we go 1, 2. So we multiply this number now by 600. 0.005 times 600, and that would equal 3. So that would be 0.5% of 600. And that would be this problem here. Okay, that would be that amount there. Then find a percent of this number here, students. This is yours there. And that is lesson 7.3, part 1, Pre-Algebra Math. Animated PowerPoint Math video at AOL.com for questions or course materials. Thank you very much.